Welcome, Warriors. This is World Warrior 101, and today we're going to be talking about the original Street Fighter game released in 1987 and my experience playing. So, let's get into it. If you're a fan of fighting games, then you've probably heard of Street Fighter. It's a classic game that helped establish the genre and inspired countless other games that came after it. But even if you're not a huge fighting game fan, there's a good chance you've heard of Street Fighter. It's a game that has had a huge impact on the gaming industry and has remained popular for decades. So, what makes Street Fighter so special? Well, for starters, it's a lot of fun to play. The game features two characters, Ryu and Ken, who are martial artists competing in a global martial arts tournament. The player controls one of these characters and fights against an opponent controlled by the computer. Now you can face another person and the winner get to play through the computer opponents, which is interesting. The other characters in this game are Retsu, a Shorinji Kempo instructor who was excommunicated for using forbidden moves while getting into street fights. Geki, an anonymous ninja who fights with a talon, shurikens, and ninjutsu illusions. Jin, an elderly professional assassin who has developed his own murderous kung fu style and sets out to find worthy challengers. Lead, a mysterious Bajikun expert who enters the bout to put Chinese kung fu back on the mainstream. Joe, formerly an underground martial art champion before his time as an outlaw forced him on the run. Mike, a former heavyweight pugilist who once killed an opponent in the ring and did time in jail for robbery, where he learned the art of boxing. Birdie, a giant bouncer who uses a combination of wrestling and boxing techniques. This punker is dangerous when jumping in midair. Eagle, a Bujitsu expert who is the hired bodyguard of a wealthy family who is rivals with Sagat but was previously defeated by the latter. His weapon of choice is fighting with two Eskrima/Kali sticks. Adon, the #1 disciple of Sagat. And Sagat, the emperor of Muay Thai, the greatest Muay Thai fighter there is. But that isn't enough for him. He wants to be the greatest fighter in the world. He fires tiger shots and also uses the hopping tiger knee. The gameplay is slow-paced and choppy. Very choppy but exciting in a way. Originally, it was played on an arcade machine that consisted of a joystick and two big buttons. One for punch and the other for kick, and how hard you hit the button determined what kind of punch or kick was executed. The special moves that you can execute by inputting specific joystick and button combinations are your typical 80s and 90s video game graphics but must have been cool back then though. But here's the thing, Street Fighter is the definition of challenging. The playthrough you're watching is my very last attempt through the game. The game requires precise inputs and quick reflexes, but even when I input the move correctly, it took forever for the move to be executed. This was frustrating at first, but after a few more tries and working with it, I kind of got the hang of it. Well enough to beat the game, and that took like 15 tries. Playing with both Ryu and Ken was just as I expected, the same. I have combo that I like to use from Street Fighter 2, but that wasn't happening in this game. I suck at this, but I'm glad I played. So, while Street Fighter is definitely a lot of fun to play, it's also a game that requires a lot of skill and practice. It's not the kind of game that you can just pick up and expect to be good at right away. But if you're willing to put in the time and effort, you'll find that it's an incredibly rewarding and satisfying game to play. Now, I just need Capcom to make an official updated version that allows us to play as the other characters. So, if you're a fan of fighting games, or if you're just looking for a new challenge, we highly recommend giving the original Street Fighter a try. It's a classic game that gives you the difficulty of those 90s era games, and it still can be a lot of fun to play today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video where we will be playing and reviewing all the Alpha Series games.